Hello and welcome to the new studio space. Yes, I have been busy since the end of May. Well, actually, I said the end of May, beginning of May actually, is when we started building this. And I've been quietly building this. You may have seen the odd excerpt on Instagram and what have you, but I've been quietly building this new studio space for me. And I actually am recording this, as the SMR says, 30th of June. So it's the end of June and I literally moved in. In actual fact, I've been working in here for about 2 weeks, as in my day job, but I haven't actually been working in here with the keyboards. The keyboards only literally moved in about a week ago. I've slowly started to sort of recover bits and bobs from storage and bringing them down here and wiring them up and testing them and getting the sound and vision working. As we stand at the moment, everything you can see behind me is all wired in and working. However, this is kind of temporary and I'll explain why in a sec. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. So you're going to say, why the new studio? Why now? Well, believe it or not, I've actually been living on the south coast for 4 years. I moved down here 4 years ago, just before COVID kicked in. And when I did that, I packed up my studio as it was, put it all in storage. And I never ever envisaged it would be in storage for 4 years. I really didn't. I thought to myself, I'd probably have it in storage for about a year to 18 months, never thinking I'd have 4 years. But when you move in with other people, you kind of have to be mindful of space. And all right, the place I live in is not huge. It was big enough for us as we were. So what we agreed when we moved in here was that I would have a small corner of the goldfish bowl, and you've seen plenty of videos over the last 4 years of me either playing, doing stuff in the goldfish bowl as it was, but it really wasn't suitable. And I kind of sort of thought to myself, do I spend money on making the goldfish bowl right? And there were so many things wrong with it that it was kind of a decision that I thought was wrong. And so we've kind of gone another way with the goldfish bowl, which may become apparent in a future video. But with the legal formalities of my separation stroke divorce and the stabilisation of my cash flow, because as you know, after that period of time I was absolutely brassic, I thought, well, now's probably the time to sort of kind of re-establish some kind of creative space for me. In fact, I started talking to my partner about what we were going to do in sort of the early part of 2023, so over a year ago, to be honest. And we went through a whole raft of ideas about, what we would do over that kind of year. And it kind of involved what we were doing with the house. It involved what we were doing with the goldfish bowl. It involved what we were doing with other things that were going on. And at the beginning of 2024, we both decided that after her divorce and my divorce, we both needed a period of stability and a period of stableness and a period of stable cash flow. You don't really, when you've got money going out the door to solicitors and such like, it really is difficult to try and sort of stabilise things. So what we decided to do at the beginning of this year is we decided to accelerate the plans to finish the house. So that's what we did at the beginning of this year. We we engaged the builder and we started to accelerate finishing the house as it was. So there's been a huge amount of work done in the house since Christmas, and it's really been quite painful, but we're just about on the cusp of finishing the house now. Probably, I would say, building work will be finished in about 2 weeks' time, and in terms of all the decoration and furnishing and all that sort of stuff, probably by the end of summer. So what we started in 2021, 2022, we'll now finish this year, as I say, by the summer. And we did that because we decided that we're going to stay here for a little while longer. The original plan was for us to move probably this year, and we've decided that we're not going to do that. We're going to actually stay here for a few more years, which is nice. You know, neighbours are okay, the location's okay, the sea's 10 minutes away, and I like living here. So that was the decision we made, and we made that decision at Christmas. And you probably heard me over the last 6 months making mentions of the new studio space. Well, it's taken 6 months from the point we started planning to the point where you see we are now. We started this literally at Christmas, coming up with various different ideas about what this would look like, how it would be built, what materials we were going to use, all that sort of stuff. So that started at Christmas. We are where we are now. It's taken 6 months to get here. But to answer the question, why a new studio now? Well, a couple of reasons. One really big fundamental reason, actually, nothing to do with music, but actually my day job is, ever since COVID came along, the style of job that I have is at least 3 days at home, 2 days in the office, some weeks 5 days at home. So I need somewhere that I can work. Hence the reason why I've got my desk here. Off camera you probably can't see it, but I've got my computer and my monitor in here, which I never leave in here, by the way. I always take them out at night, but they're in here. And there's windows to the side here. This place catches the sun during the day, and actually it is actually a very pleasant environment to work. And as I said, I've been working in here for about two weeks or so now, and it's very, very pleasant. What it's going to be like in the winter, I don't know at the moment. Obviously this is summer, but I have got some heaters that I'm going to buy and bring in here, and so they come on at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it'll be nice and warm by the time I get out here about 8. So that was the first reason. I needed somewhere to work. I needed somewhere I could be and work to pay the bills, because obviously this channel doesn't pay the bills. This is a hobby. But the other side of this is I also needed somewhere that was my creative space, that was nothing to do with the people I live with, and you know, I could basically sit out here and noodle and doodle, and if I wanted to just bash keys, and that was kind of my creative space. So that's the reason why the other half of this, probably the more fun part of this, is the creative space for me to noodle doodle and play with the technology and play with the instruments and create music. Again, going back to creating music, which is something I haven't really done for probably 5-6 years now. Seriously sat down and created. Divorce, moving, headspace, other stuff like that. But the other thing about this space is I don't have to tidy up. If I'm in the middle of doing something, then I can kind of leave it. And that is actually really important to being creative, in my mind anyway, is, you know, if you want to go and have something to eat, you can stop with everything in the place where you are, go and have something to eat, come back and carry on. If you want to take a rest, you can stop. You can go and sleep. But you don't have to pack everything down. When I was working in the goldfish bowl, or when I was playing in the goldfish bowl, every evening, I kind of had to stop. I had to pack up, and that really sort of like disrupts my creative flow. I like the fact that I can just walk out of here. If I'm working on a patch, if I'm working on a piece, if I'm working on something, if I've got doing a piece to video and I've got a synth on in the middle of the room, I can just leave it. And that is really, really, as I say, really important to the way my creativeness works. So basically this space gives me both my work thing and my creative thing. By the way, if you're looking at the screen behind me, you can see what looks like cat's eyes. That is the lights, the studio lights that I've got. I haven't worked out exactly how to position. This is actually the first video I have shot in here, so things may change. Things like where the microphone is currently positioned, and I never thought I'd use that because it's kind of strung over the lights in the ceiling, and it actually works quite well, which I'm quite surprised about. But that's a different thing. But it actually is, because it's right up in the, it's above me, which is where I always have it in the workshop. I think that works quite well, but maybe I need to tinker with the clamping and stuff like that. Anyway, but at the end of the day, what I can do in here is when I finish my work day, I can shut my laptop down, and then I can work on videos, recording, or whatever else into the evening without having to worry about packing up after myself. I can come in the next morning, open my laptop, work laptop, and carry on working. Now, what I've done in the past is I've kind of worked in all kinds of locations in the house as we've A, been renovated the house, and B, due to what's going on in the house. So this really becomes a space that I think truly can become creative. In fact, I've got a couple of collaborators who would love to come down and use this space collaboratively. I'm not sure how that's going to work at the moment because I'm not quite there, but in the fullness of time, I think we could use what I'm calling the Hobbit Hut. Studio A was my studio when I was recording. It's still Studio A, but it's in the Hobbit Hut. So there you have it. That's the why. That's the why I've done this. So what's next? Where do I go next? I suppose is probably what I'm saying. Well, as I said, the real planning for this really started at the beginning of March. Although I said I've been building it since the beginning of May, actually planning, getting into the nitty gritty and ordering things started around March. Ordered the building in April, beginning of April. It arrived at the end of April. We built it in May, put all the electrics in here, put the internet in here. I've actually got hardwired internet in here. I know that's unheard of nowadays because everyone does wireless, but actually it made a lot of sense. I've actually got gigabit internet into this space. My laptop, even though it's capable of wireless, all my laptops are capable of wireless, during the day when I've been using them, I just actually have them plugged into the gigabit internet. It just makes a lot of sense. Anyway, so internet was in here. Not that you can probably see it on camera, but I've got a really lush carpet, a lush red carpet, which is suitable for this space because obviously I'm sitting here in a wheelie chair. That needs to be able to take that, so it's had to have a special underlay put down. I've had the floor reinforced in here because even though individually these things here are not very heavy, actually if you put them all together they are actually quite heavy. So I didn't want any point loads on the floor, so I've had the floor reinforced, the floor's insulated, the ceiling's been insulated. And as I said earlier in this video, I kind of moved in here 3rd week of June. And obviously I'm filming this now. But while all the racks here are installed and operational, this is the temporariness at the moment, okay? They are all working, but it still feels like it's a very temporary feel. And the reason for that was it was designed like this so that I could move things around relatively easily. Because I moved studio spaces probably 4 times in the 10 years or so that I was living in the flat, and therefore because I moved several times, it was easy because you just literally put the case lids on these things, because these are just what do you call it, plastic rack cases. Just put the lids on them, grabbed the handle, stuck them on a sack barrow, and off you went. You moved them from A to B. They all fitted in the boot of the car, as it was at the time, and it was very easy to move them from A to B. Not so easy to rewire them every time, but it was easy enough to move them. So that was kind of how the studio was designed, and it was all designed to be quite modular. MIDI, more MIDI, sound, samplers, synthesizers, digital pianos. It was all kind of, there was a logic to the way that things are grouped. But I've also run out of space. So if I look at this lot, I need more space because I've got other instruments that are down in storage that aren't stored in one of these, not gator cases, I can't think of that. They're Trojan cases, that's what they're called. They're Trojan cases. But I can't get them in. They're full. So I needed sort of like either to buy more. So when I moved in here and I kind of started bringing this stuff back, and I looked at it, I thought to myself, actually, I'm not happy with that. So then I thought, originally, in my original design for this space, I was going to have a 42U cabinet. Well, actually, when I did the measuring up, I could get a 42U cabinet on this side, but I can't get a 42U cabinet on that side because the roof slopes slightly. So I kind of scuppered that one. So then I thought, well, do I get 36U cabinet or something like that? And then I thought to myself, actually, why would I put a 42U cabinet in here? If this is going to be a studio, why don't I give it a studio vibe? So what I've done is I've actually gone and ordered studio racking. So not cheap, built to order, I might add, but in a few weeks' time that will be arriving, and this lot will all be transferred into that, which is 24U high, 3 24U high racks, which hopefully will go more into the corner, so around the back of the Kronos, more into the corner, and then it will come slightly further along this way than the two are at the moment, because these two aren't really butted together. I mean, I can get my hand almost down between the two because of the handles and grips and stuff that's between the two Trojan cases. So that was the first decision I kind of made when I moved in, is that I needed to retire these and put something a bit more elegant and studio-like in here. So that's what I've gone and done. But nothing turns up. So there's the first change to design. The second change to design was behind the camera, at the other end of this space, is to have some kind of comfy zone to support the creative process, and also to allow, if I'm going to be spending time out here, to allow my partner and friends to come and sit out here as well, so that we, basically it becomes a bit more of a living space from that perspective. Otherwise I would be out here, my partner would be in the house, and it kind of doesn't work. So I've been looking for that. I was out yesterday looking for sofas, and I think I found what I want, so good stuff. And a little coffee table, I think I found that as well, so that's good stuff. So that's kind of that part of the part done as well. Then there was the other thing, which was I needed a bigger monitor in here. Now I've got a monitor, I've got a 27-inch monitor that sits over here. I'm probably going to have two 27-inch monitors that actually sit on the desk before too long. But I needed a bigger monitor. If I'm going to start seriously playing around with doors and going back to that, what I found is the computer is all right, a bit small. The 27-inch monitors are better, and I don't know, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to use this, but everybody who is working in this space has a big monitor. Big monitor. So that was another change of plan. I wasn't planning on putting a big monitor out here. I've now put a big monitor out here. So that's the next thing. Once I've got the seating in, once I've got the racks, the new racks in, then I will start playing around with the keyboards that are going to be in here on a semi-permanent, permanent basis. Now I've still got way too many keyboards to put into this space. Okay, that's the bottom line. I have way too many keyboards, and I'm not likely to get rid of any. So there will still be a degree of rotational going on. I mean, there's two things I kind of want to do. I want to do a piano off, if you like, with the A80 and the KX88, the offerings from Roland and Yamaha respectively. I really haven't given either of those a good thumping. If you excuse the pun, I don't mean to thump them, I mean to sort of play them, because of space constraints and such like. So there's a load of videos I want to make on those two platforms. And I also need something in here to drive this lot, which one of those will fulfill the bill. I suspect it's going to be the Roland A80 if I'm brutally honest, because that keyboard was kind of designed exactly for this purpose. So once I've got the racks in and the sofa in and the coffee table in, and then I can start working on how does the rest of this space orientate itself out. I do know when the racks come in, they will have a tabletop on top of them, and I'm going to have several monitors on there, so I can use things like the CX5M, I can use the muse receptors, I can use the samplers that require screens. I can have them all routed up to the top. I can have the control panel for the Akai 6000, I can have the control panel for the S750 up on here as well. So it gives me a lot more flexibility into how I'm going to work, and that can all only be good. In fact, I could actually put the the monitors for the samplers and what have you, and the muse receptor up onto here now that I've got a big monitor. So there you go. I've been a bit quiet because I've been a bit busy. And on that note, I'm going to say, live long and prosper. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.